Greetings, lords and ladies. Afflicted with a bit of a pestilence here. Not a bit, actually. I was plagued with it for the past week or so. I'm kind of coming off of it, and I think my voice is intact enough, and my health hale enough that, or that is rather to say, I am hale enough that I can make a video response. Now, the only reason why I'm making a video response to Woolly Bumblebee is because, well, first off, I didn't even know she made a video about a bunch of commenters on one of the Tom Likas videos that I mirrored. Fact is, I only became aware of it because Barbara Russell came out of semi-retirement and did maybe a minute and a half upload, and then I thought, did this Woolly Bumblebee make a video? I say that because I don't watch her videos. They don't interest me. Her content doesn't interest me, and generally speaking, most of the things she says don't interest me. But I did watch her 5 minute or so video. So she said a couple of things that were a bit off the wall, I thought. For starters, I mean, the video begins with a sort of a comment or a series of comments on a bunch of presumably my subscribers. People commented on my videos, specifically the Tom Likas upload about the gold digger who calls him Tom Likas, and yeah, she says these people, these guys hate women. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But to draw an analogy, I get white supremacists and even black supremacists on my channel. I let them comment. I let them say whatever they want. Doesn't mean I agree with them. Uh, Maybe some MGTOW hate women. Most don't. And most MGTOW, particularly in the advanced stages, are just kind of indifferent towards women. I know I am. The only thing that interests me about women is how they, interact with men on a sort of on a large scale in the grander scheme of things, and basically biological evolutionary history and the sociological aspect of it, which I find quite fascinating. But I have no particular feelings towards women one way or another. I look at my purpose here with this channel as studying the human female in order to acquire knowledge for myself and other men. And as much as I would study any uh, being or creature, and of course I also study the human male with all his attendant weaknesses, strengths, weaknesses, and what have you. So I don't really know if these men hate women or not. I don't even care. Just like I don't care if white separatists and supremacists come on my channel and tell me about the glories of the Faustian-inspired white European IQ. It just doesn't interest me. They're free to comment, but whatever. So, for one thing, getting all upset about a couple of comments that this Woolly Bumblebee may or may not have seen. Well, she did see them. I saw them as well on that video. Is, well, pointless because she's using it as sort of a springing board to make this video response and create essentially a broad herself a broad brushed depiction of what MGTOW is. Whereas in reality, MGTOW is extremely disparate, individualistic. I mean, I know for myself, I don't even join MGTOW organizations online or otherwise because I'm quite frankly too much of an individualist. I don't like joining. You can ask some of these guys. They've asked me to join, and I don't want to because I don't like joining groups and stuff. It's just not my thing. Uh, that's not to say I don't mind. I like working together with people. It's a difference, but that's neither here nor there. So this whole idea about hatred, because a couple of guys said some things later on in the video where she reprises her theme of MGTOWs hate women. Some of them said some bad stuff. Yeah, I saw it. Some of these guys said that women should be this this particular woman in the video should be killed or what have you. I don't endorse that. I've never spoken of using violence against women. Never. I've also never stated, you can't find a single video where I say I hate women, because I don't. So, a couple of guys wrote that stuff. whatever. She could have just as well taken comments by white and black supremacists and separatists and made a video about that and said, these white supremacists, black supremacists, MGTOWs believe blah, blah, blah. I mean, she's just nitpicking here. But I, that's not even the interesting thing. What I thought interesting about her video about MGTOW was what essentially amounted to a bunch of, C minus online dating tribe advice about you're missing out on a great opportunity for relationships and finding a nice partner, blah blah blah. And then of course she calls MGTOW unnatural. Well, I suppose no more unnatural than it is for people to fly at an altitude of 30,000 feet above sea level. No more unnatural than women using birth control. No more unnatural than driving from A to Z. No more unnatural than me using Sony Vegas, sitting in front of my laptop making this video. All very unnatural. Might as well just live in caves, huh? Anyway, so yeah, she makes a bunch of points, not really points, just sort of, like I said, really shoddy dating advice that you're missing out on opportunities and you shouldn't shun women. I mean, every guy who calls himself MGTOW is his own guy, is his own man, and he's going to do whatever he wants, and he's going to have his different perspectives. Some MGTOW still have sex with women, some don't. Some even have relationships with women, some don't. Some ghost, some don't. You get so much variety there, and there are just a lot of different perspectives. It's not even possible, by dint of the fact that MGTOW are highly individualistic, to broad brush them into some kind of. She speaks of pigeonholing, and what does she do there? I mean, the irony should not be lost to anyone. But there's some other really silly comments she makes. In particular, comments about just ignoring biology. Uh, this is, I mean, she's essentially offering, going back to Nawalt here, a bunch of, without saying Nawalt, well, actually, she more or less did. She essentially made a bunch of comments which amounted to giant Nawalt. And, we've dealt with Nawalt in the past, and as Barbarossa stated in his Becoming Ambient video response to Fiedelbogen, all the things we say are sort of generalized tracking principles. You can map them onto the general population or populace of females, predict general trends in their behavior, and there will always be outliers. But once again, exceptions confirm the rule. Every predictive model in every area of knowledge, in every science, in every particular area of behavioral science or knowledge, needs to make predictions, generalized predictions about how Group A, for example, will behave, particularly how Group A will in interacting with Group B, how that group will respond, how the former will respond to the latter in their interactions. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the only way of understanding the world, limited as we are as Homo sapiens. Uh, there really isn't a whole lot to address in this response. Barbarossa did say, assuming he comes out of semi-retirement, that he will make a more lengthy one. I look forward to that. I'm currently, once again, in the throes of a pestilence, and I wanted to work on another, more important video than this. But it's just a lot of shaming. I mean, let's be honest. I don't mean this as an insult to her person, but as I said before, I'm not interested in Woolly Bumblebee's content because it's just not very interesting, not thought-provoking. Contrast that, let's say, with Girl Writes What, who is usually thought-provoking and interesting, and has some original material, and contrast as well with the shaming language. I mean, it's patently obvious using the Walt, shaming men. It's And of course she uses the same as the feminists, which I've talked about many times as well. Maybe those few men truly do hate women, but then it's their problem. I'm quite certain most of my subscribers don't hate women. In fact, most of them are akin to me, I would assume. Otherwise, they wouldn't be subscribed to me. And are interested in understanding female biology for the purposes of their own understanding themselves. And it's mostly a sort of indifferent, somewhat passive, yet somewhat passionate interest in the science behind it. What makes men and women tick. Uh, you know, but another point, MGTOW aren't part of the men's movement. I mean, some are. I like Bob O'Hara, and he's a MGTOW more or less, and he's an activist. But generally speaking, as a principle, as a group, MGTOW don't. We're not part of any specific the men's movement. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. I'm just a guy who makes videos, and most of my subscribers are just guys who make comments and so on and so forth. Ultimately, though, I think, as Lord VK1970 put it, a lot of MGTOW is about just understanding the utter futility and inutility, uselessness of attachments. It's not about just playing beer and Xbox. It's about detaching yourself from the state of affairs that the world finds itself in, removing yourself from it, and looking at from an external position above it, or at the very least outside of it. You're outside of the bubble. You're outside of the matrix, as it were, and looking within and gaining perhaps new insights, not being part of that. So ultimately, that's how I see MGTOW. It's how I think a lot of my subscribers see it. I look at it as a means of detaching yourself from not from all. In theory, all detachments can be harmful, and this is a bit Buddhist. Forgive me, but certainly the attachments of the romantic sort. Excuse my voice. Can be very harmful given the state's power and women's alliance and rather cancerous relationship with the state, but also just looking in on it and trying to understand the whole thing. I mean, my primary interest, I suppose, is a sociological one, but as you see, you're not going to hear a whole lot of hatred from me because I don't really hate anyone. I mean, well, I kind of hate EA. You might know, some of you know who EA is. Like, I'm not going to go into that. It has nothing to do with this. Kind of hate EA, but that's about it. And they're not even a person. They're an entity who who's ruining the computer game industry. But so I don't know. This video response is kind of much ado about nothing. A response to yet another video by another person, which was, well, had even less to do with something, or even more to do with nothing. So all I can say is whatever. Or as I don't know if she's Québécois, mais si tu es Québécoise, n'importe quoi. All I have to say. So have a nice day, everyone, and hopefully, in the not all too distant future, I will have something up of greater substance and not kind of a waste of time like this is. This is just rambly, and I won't be sick either. Take care. And before I forget, right, this is how much I'm cognizant of these things. As I said, I'm a bit ill still. Willie Bumblebee in her video says it's not about women. It's about feminism. We've talked about this a million times. We all know that feminism doesn't exist without women. That feminism and women have a reciprocal, symbiotic relationship to each other, and to deny that is it's absurd, intellectually dishonest, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, not even especially Girl Rights What doesn't deny that. Recall in her video, I'm trying to remember which one. It was a fairly recent one. about the women speaking up because their sons are being afflicted by something. I even remember where she starts talking about that. I think it was 13 minutes onwards, where she talks about femaleness has been an engine churning on for, well, for all of history essentially. It's not just about feminism. If you think it's just about feminism, well, you're being really naive, and you might be even foolish. I've talked about this so many times, so has Barbarossa. I'm not going to talk about it much more in this video, at least. So sorry, that was a bit of an addendum. Everyone take